Hello everyone. What's up? How are you doing? Hope you're doing well. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking and whatnot. My name's Alyssa, and it is the second week of January. So, I have decided to do my books I read last year or whatever. I don't even think this is is there a name for this? I don't know. I'm gonna show you all the books I read in 2020. But before we get into it, let's play a game. Is Alyssa wearing a full outfit? I'll give you time to guess. The answer is yes. I've been painting vinyls and reading books. Look at this one's it's cute. I also did this one. Cute. I've been painting vinyls, I've been reading books, and I've been having existential crises. Alright, so I have my stack of books here, and I'm going to talk about them from the first one I read to the last one that I read. Just a quick backstory, I guess. I used to be a big reader when I was a kid, as a lot of us were. And then I got into high school, and I just fell off, basically. And then around junior year of high school, I was like, let me get back into this. And then I fell off again. And then around my junior year, after my junior year of college, over the summer, I was a reader. I read, quite a bit for me. I read the whole Percy Jackson series finally. I read a couple other books I don't even remember. Over that summer I read, and then my senior year, first semester, I was doing an internship and I had time to read, so I read. And then spring semester, I was like, I'm not doing this. And then the pandemic hit, and I had nothing else to do. So guess who went back on Book Outlet? Me. I was on Book Outlet, and I was also trying to read more in general. Right before the pandemic hit, I went to Barnes & Noble with my friend. We was like, we're gonna read, yeah. So yeah, anyways, around March is when I started reading, and last year, and I set a goal for 12 books out of 12 books for the year, which I was one book a month, but I started in March, so it's a little bit more than one book a month. Anyways, I'm gonna start from March and just go on. It took me a while to read some of these books, but I tried. I'm going to tell you the rating that I gave, a little bit of thoughts on how I felt about the book, and yeah. Hope you enjoy. Alright, let's start with the first book I read in March, maybe even late February, I actually don't remember. The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue. I gave this book 4 stars out of 5. I just really liked how light this book was, very light and airy, and not a lot of consequence. It was adventurous, because they were going on a European tour and whatnot. It was very adventurous, but I didn't feel like the stakes were super high. I was scared for them. There was times when I was like, oh, is this really happening? But overall, it was a pretty chill read. It was I really needed something that was very not heavy to read at that time in March when the world felt like it was ending, and this was great for that. So if you ever want something that's very not heavy, you should read this book. The romance is cute, sometimes frustrating, but overall pretty cute. Sometimes Monty made me very angry. Monty, main character, he made me very mad because I was like, I literally hate you. But by the end, I was like, I love y'all. Y'all are so cute. I think about this book a lot, actually. Whenever I'm like, oh, I can't read anything that's too, action-packed and people dying and stuff. And I'm like, should I read this again? And then I don't do it because I'm trying to get through my never-ending TBR. But this was a good book. Definitely recommend. I loved it. Next book I read because my friend really wanted me to read it. And this was like, I read it like kind of in the thick of the pandemic. I had ordered it off Amazon, and I was like, I just need something to do. Because she was like, you can borrow mine. But I was like, I don't have time for that. I need to do something. And that is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I feel like by now everyone has read this book, so I don't really feel like I need to go into deep detail. But it bangs, okay? I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. But Goodreads doesn't let you do 0.5, so I just rounded up to 5 because the end was amazing and it made me cry. So I feel like if I'm shedding tears, like, and I didn't even know why I was crying. I was just like, that was so good. I feel like it deserves, like, I can round it up to a 5. That's okay. Basically, some kids on a heist. That's the whole gist. But the characters are so well written. The storyline, so well written. The world building, amazing. Just everything about this book. We could talk about it for days. I love these characters. They're just really like precious. Just so well written. They're so human. And I just love a good character. It's like not completely character driven. Like, to me, I love character driven stories, but it's not character driven. It's also like not completely plot driven. It's like a good mix of both, you know? Just amazing. I feel like the characters are so well written that it makes you think that it's character driven, and then the plot is also like pretty intriguing. So I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I just don't have enough insight to decide. But let me tell you, Leigh Bardugo put her foot in that. I was gonna only give it 4 stars. Because at first, before I finished it, because the beginning was so slow. I was like, I don't know what's going on. I literally read the first like 100-ish pages, maybe a little less than 100, maybe like 70 something. And I was like, I need to put this down. I had to put it down for a while, and I finally got back to it. And yeah, I guess that's kind of just what Leigh Bardugo does. She just writes very slow. Like, it's not even slow at the beginning. It just jumps right in. And I was so confused, and it was making me frustrated that I was so confused, and I was reading about these characters and I didn't know them yet. Like, there was no introduction. It was just like, hey, people are dying, and I was like, oh god. Yeah, this was a great book. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Yeah, actually, it was 4.5 out of 5 would recommend. My next book was also by Leigh Bardugo. I'm sure you could guess. It was Crooked Kingdom. And this is a new copy. Haven't even read from this copy yet. The one that I read from was from a used bookstore. This one is also from a used bookstore. It's just not used. It's a new book from a used bookstore. Actual copy that I read, it's right there, if you can see. It's jacked up. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars, I believe. And I don't remember why it only got 4 instead of like 4.5. Actually, I think I gave it 4.5 as well, and I just rounded down to 4. It was paced well, way better than the first one, probably because I didn't need it. I knew all the characters already. I didn't need an introduction. It was really good, but honestly, the most thing that I remember from this is Wylan and Jesper. Like, that's totally just me being who I am as a person. The very end, like, Inej. Ooh, I love her. It slapped. I just don't remember a lot of it. Like, everything I remember has to do with either Wylan or Jesper. So, I should reread it, probably. Not right now. She killed a main character. That was memorable, but also I was like, I don't know if I care that much about him. The jury is still out. It's been, how long has it been? 6 months since I finished this book. The jury is still out. I read this one in May to June. It took me a long time. It took me over a month to read this book. Woo, my reading habits are horrible. You should definitely read both of these books. They are amazing. And look how pretty they are. Like, anyways, my next book is a 5-star read, okay? And I will never stop talking about this book until the day that I freaking die. It's The Good Son by Yu Jung Jung. I loved this book. I love this book and I think about it basically every day. It's about this guy who wakes up one morning to find his mom dead in the kitchen in a pool of her own blood. And he's like, who did this? Who did it? Because he's like, oh man, how many people were around? Like, what happened last night? He has this like epilepsy type of thing that where whenever he has a seizure, he just forgets everything. So he remembers like little bits and pieces of the night before. He remembers like yelling his mom's name and like stuff like that. But he does not remember anything besides that. He's like, was I like trying to save her? Was she already dead when I got here? Like, what was going on? So basically the whole book is him trying to figure out what the frick happened, and also trying to not be suspicious because they're obviously going to think that he did it. So don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. This book was so good. And it's so short. I finished it. It took me 5 days to read this one. I read it in June. But like 5 days for me, when it was taking me a month plus to read other books, was so good. I was like, I haven't read a book this fast in a long time. It's so good. The ending, like, oh my gosh, the ending is so good. And I'm not gonna say anything about the ending or anything that happens or in the book at all, but just tell me. I just need to tell you that this book is so good. Like, I cannot stress enough, you have to read this book. It's amazing. And I got it just because I bought the Darker Shades of Magic trilogy on Goodreads, and I was like, I need one more book to like get me over that $35 mark. So there we are. And I wanted to read more translated books last year because I was in a comparative lit class, East Asian lit, and we read a lot of translated works. So I was like, let's keep the ball rolling. And this is the only translated work I read last year, but I'm gonna try again this year. Please read it. Like, bless yourself. I don't really read thrillers or anything like, I don't really like to read about murder and stuff, weird, stuff. But this book was so good. I will say there are some parts of it that are very freaking creepy. They're very creepy. Let's move on. Next book is A Song of Race and Ruin. So pretty, such a pretty cover. I read this one in July, I believe. From July to August. It took me about a month to read this book as well. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. It was okay. I probably should have given it like 3.5, but 4 is fine. It was good in that I liked the lore, I guess, behind it. I feel like I learned something about, I think it's East African folklore. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't really know. But that was cool to like just have every character just be black, and I was like, oh. But it wasn't giving me what I really needed. Like, I wanted more of a backstory with the powers and the hand tattoo stuff. I don't really remember everything that went on in this book, I'm not even gonna lie. But I just remember wanting more than this book gave me. That being said, it was still good. Like, I might still read the second book just to figure out what happens, like the rest of them, maybe. But it's a strong maybe though. Like, I'm not sure if I will continue reading them. For a debut novel, I was very impressed. I was very impressed. It was good. It was unique. It was, giving me black goodness. I also love a good, like, enemies/rivals to lover story. And this was kind of that, but not really. Like, I wasn't sold. But that being said, look, it could develop, and I could be, like, ooh, it was aight. Overall rating, aight. But I don't really think about this much anymore. I still think it's worth reading though. I hope to read more books that are, not about white Americans. Next book is a manga that I didn't rate because, like, what's the point? My Hero Academia number 21. Yeah. I really have nothing to say about this book. It's already been, most of it has already been in the anime, so It was good. I just love my hero. I love all the characters. Bakugo, I love him. That's my boy. I read this in August, so I don't know. I was like, if I'm gonna reach my 12 book goal, it's already August. I only got 4 months left, 4.5 months left. I'm gonna need to get to reading some pictures. Reading these 500-page books is not working out for me. It's taking me months. It's taking me too long. So anyways, that's that. Not really much to say about this one. Okay, my next 2 books I made a video about. The only video I have about books on my channel besides this one, I guess, in my intro. And I'm so excited to read number 3. I don't even know what's coming out, but I'm excited to read it. It is There Will Come a Darkness. I gave this book, the first one, 3 stars. Which you're probably like, why are you so excited about this 3-star read? And you're right. This book was a little bit subpar. I honestly only bought it because I thought the cover looked cool and it was on Goodreads. It was probably like $4. So that's why I got it. But then I actually read it and I was like, wait a second, this is actually pretty freaking solid. And I think I started reading it because people were saying it was like Six of Crows, but it's not. It's just told in multiple perspectives and they're like teenagers, but besides that, it's not like Six of Crows at all. I think the characters were likable enough. They were okay. Everything about this book was kind of okay. Like the world building, okay. The characters, they were okay. The plot, okay. Like it was very predictable, you know, normal YA stuff. There's like the person that's really important and you're like, I know it's that person, but that person doesn't know that it's them. You know, it's like that kind of stuff, the chosen one type of thing. I like got into it, especially towards the end. I was like, ooh. Mostly I was into it because of the romance, which if you watch my other video, which you probably didn't because it's like 50 minutes long, you know that I was into it for the romance. I like this book, but I like the second one more, which I'll talk about now. As the Shadow Rises. Aren't these books so freaking pretty though? Like, they're so pretty. I'm so excited for the third one because it's gonna be so pretty. It's gonna be so pretty and probably so expensive. But anyways, I finished There Will Come a Darkness and I was like, I literally have to know what happens in this romance, and I don't think the second book is out. And then it was out. Like, I finished it right after the second book came out, which my luck. But I read this one in August/September, and then I read this one in the end of September, early October. It took me about a week to read this one, and took me about a month to read that other one. So you see what I mean? I literally destroyed this book because of the romance. Like, it's told in multiple perspectives, like I said. So every time there was a perspective that I was like, they're not a part of the romance, I just like zipped through their part, and I was like, oh, we're getting to the next part. But anyways, I enjoyed this one more because I feel like it did well building the story up more, because the first one was kind of shallow, like, you know, not much going on there. But this one, I was like, I might actually be interested in this plot too. Maybe. I'll get back to you on that, because I still am mostly interested in the romance. But I might maybe also be interested in the plot. Hopefully there are only 3 books. I'm pretty sure there's only 3, but if there's a 4th one, I'm not reading it. I don't believe in fourth. I don't believe in 4th books. We met a lot of new people in this one. We learned a lot about the world and like just how things work and history and stuff. It was interesting, I think. It was good. I gave it 4 stars out of 5. I more would recommend this book than There Will Come a Darkness, but you have to read There Will Come a Darkness to read this book, so I guess I recommend both. But definitely this one. It slaps, I would have to say. Like, I was pleasantly surprised how interested I was in it, even though I was mostly there for the romance. Next book, oof. Next 2 books are the worst books that I read this year. They are the worst books that I have read in a long time. Shadow and Bone and Siege and Storm. I guess I should do this way. By Lee Barduga. I'm just going to talk about both of them. These are not my books. They're my friend's books. Thank you for letting me borrow them, Courtney. You're the best. But I did not like these books. Like, this one especially was written so generic YA. I was like, this is not the lead that I know. If I had read these books before Six of Crows, maybe I would have enjoyed them more. Maybe, I don't actually know. Maybe I would have hated them too, and then not read Six of Crows. I don't know. But I was like not feeling these books. Like, I ended up I got like more than halfway through Siege and Storm, and I like literally could not bring myself to read any more of the words, so I had to listen to the audiobook. And I listened to Ruin and Rising as well, because I was like, I can't do this. I cannot do this. I hated Alina. And, objectively, I can be like, oh, yeah, I understand a little bit of her character and whatever. I hated her, though. Like, subjectively, she was the worst. Mal was back and forth. He was all right. I love Nikolai, as we all should. And Jenya, beautiful, love her. All the side characters were so much better that I was just like, I can't. Like, I literally cannot take this serious, because I hated these books. The first one was all right. Like, I gave it 3 stars. And I read it pretty quickly, too. Like, a little over a week. And I was like, this is good. Like, oh, the Darkling. Oh my gosh, I loved the Darkling in the first one, and then it all just. But I was intrigued. It was very, like I said, very generic YA, but I still could, I could get down. But then I started this one, and I was like, what is going on? What's going on? I was reading this book for so long, literally a month and a half, reading this dang book. And I just couldn't do it. Like, it just, I don't know, just did nothing for me. Absolutely nothing for me. I couldn't stand Alina. I gave it 2 stars because there were some parts that I was like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. But then it would just be so slow, and then I like literally could not finish reading it with my eyeballs. I had to listen to it. I was like, I can't give this any more than 2. I also read Ruin and Rising. I just finished it last week. Yeah, like a couple days ago, actually, not even a full week ago. And it was okay. Definitely better than Siege and Storm. But I still, just as a whole, that series not my thing. Trilogy, yeah, no, not my thing. I will definitely be reading King of Scars eventually. And whatever else she comes out with in this universe. But I will never read these books again. I feel like they were good for me to like kind of get background on stuff, in the universe. But I like don't think I had to read them. I think it was good for me too, because when I go back and read Six of Crows and like whatever, I'll be like, oh my gosh, And also they're doing the Netflix series on this, and I want to watch it and like actually have read everything. So like it was good that I read them and like I know what's going on, but never again. Down to the last 2 books. My next book is also a 5-star read. 5-star, like fully 5-star, not 4.5 rounded up. That is Cemetery Boys. Cemetery Boys. So my friends and I started a book club this year. We were just sitting in the Barnes & Noble parking lot. We was like, you want to be in a book club? We was like, yeah. So here we are. We are in a book club now. And this was our first book, and it was so good. It was really, really, really good. Fully 5 stars. It was so well paced, well written, just beautiful. I love, like, the main character is a trans boy, and he is literally the sweetest thing. I love him so much. I'm not even gonna explain this book to you. Let me just tell you that this book slaps, okay? Let me read you the summary. When his traditional Latinx family has problems accepting his gender, Yadriel becomes determined to prove himself as a real brujo. But with the help of his cousin and best friend Maritza, he performs the quince's ritual himself, and then sets out to find the ghost of his murdered cousin Miguel and set it free. Whoo! However, the ghost he summons is actually Julian Diaz, the school's resident bad boy. And basically Julian's like, I'm not about to let myself just die. Like, I need to find out who killed me. I need to find out what happened. I need to find out if my friends are okay. I need to find, like, I have things to solve before I just let myself pass on. So Yadriel and Julian work together to, like, tie up the loose ends so Julian can move on and die. But, I'm not gonna say anything, but it doesn't end up happening that way. Obviously, it's a whole book. Yes, it was cute, and I loved it, and I loved, I loved Yadrio's character. It was just so good. Like, they did that. Maritza, beautiful, loved her. All the characters were just so well written, and it was just so, like, the pace was amazing. Just everything about the plot, loved it. I have so many thoughts about this book that I just, like, cannot form into actual sentences. But just know that this book is amazing, and I think you should definitely read it. Actually, the author is coming out with a new book this year. I believe this year. And guess who's gonna read that? It's me. Because I love how they write. I really do. So, yeah. I love this book. And I cannot say it enough. Like, this one actually made me bawl. Like, I was sobbing. Like, there was a couple times where I was just, like, straight tearing up. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not even halfway through this book and I'm already crying. And then at the end, I was like, just waterfall of tears. It's so good. You should definitely read it. 10 out of 10 would recommend for literally anyone out there ever who's ever lived. You need to read this book. Okay. If that didn't convince you, I don't know what will. Okay. My last book of the year, book number 12, was actually a reread. And I was like, does this really count? Because I already read this book. But it counts, okay? It's going to have to count because it was my 12th book of the year. And I literally finished it on December 31st. But it's Carry On by Rainbow Rowell, which is the second book that my book club buddies are going to read this year. And I guess we'll talk about it this year, but started reading it last year. Carry On slaps. I don't really have much to say about this book since it was like my second time reading it. But it's cute. It's basically like the fan fiction. So this girl, Kath, from Fangirl, if you've read Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell, she writes a fan fiction in that book, and this is her fan fiction. And she did a good job. I love this book. Honestly, I loved rereading it too. It was just as cute the second time. Magic and vampires and love and romance and everything in between, I give this book 4 stars just because the beginning is so slow. It's so slow. Like the first 100 pages, I'm like, when are we gonna move on? Like, please, I'm begging, give me something that's not this. But yeah, that was my last book of the year, and it was a good way to end the year, and I was so proud of myself for reading 12 books this year. Like, I don't think I've read that many books in a year since, like, middle school. When I would just be reading all the freaking time. And I set my goal this year to 18 books, and I really do think I can do it. Like, I've already read 2 books this year, or finished 2 books this year, and so, yeah, I'm hopeful that I will be able to read 18 books this year. I'm already started on my 3rd one, and I got a library card. Finally, I got a library card, so I can, like, I don't have to buy the books. I can just rent them from the library. I'm so excited. So, yeah. I've been listening to some books. I've finally, like, gotten into audiobooks, and I'm listening to some books. Right now I'm listening to Becoming by Michelle Obama, which I have thoughts about. It's really good. And I'm reading the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which I've been putting off for too long. So, yeah, I'm so excited to, like, continue reading and just be, I don't know, really in it, to win it. Just reading all the time and having a great time. Let me know if you like this video. Give it a like, I guess. Comment if you've read any of these books. Let me know what you thought about them. If you want more book videos in the future, let me know what kind of videos you want. I'll do whatever. If you want to watch me paint sometime, let me know. I'm not that good at it, but I like to do it, so I'm trying to do it more often. That's the video. Those are all the books that I read in 2020, and I hope to come back to you in 2021, or at the end of 2021, or the beginning of 2022 with more books that I have read this year, because this is just so exciting for me to have read this many books. And yeah, graduating college did a lot for me, like helped me enjoy reading again. But anyways, I'm gonna go now. Hope you have a good rest of your day, rest of your night, or rest of your morning. Whenever you're watching this, you enjoy. Bye. Bye.